All right, so here are my 8-week health coaching results. To start off with the client demographics, I chose to do this project on my friend who's a 20-year-old female. She's 5'4", weighs 127 pounds, and her body type would be considered an ectomorph. She's a full-time student and a part-time cashier. She tries to work out about 2 to 3 times a week, does not use any tobacco, and rarely drinks alcohol. This is my client's vision statement. And for some reason, VoiceThread is not loading this page, so I'm just going to back up and I'm going to go over the concerns that she had. So my client wanted to work on getting better sleep and fixing her sleep habits, being able to have better stress management, better motivation levels, and to be more on track spiritually. All right, so the use of TTM and processes of change. So I used environmental reevaluation to encourage her to consider how her poor stress management, sleeping habits, and lack of spiritual growth was making it difficult for her to connect with her loved ones. So using self-reevaluation, I prompted her to reflect on times that she felt more well-rested, stress-free, and more spiritually inclined. And I had her yearn for those same healthy patterns in her lifestyle again. Using stimulus control, I enforced the removal of unhealthy behaviors such as phone time before bed, staying up late, and withdrawing from others. And using helping relationships, I had her create a support group of loved ones to hold her accountable for her behavior patterns and her spiritual walk. Okay, so client's weekly progress. Week 1 was basically an evaluation of all of the 4 different areas that she wanted to work on. Weeks 2 to 3, she was able to cut down on screen time before bed, so she didn't use her phone 30 minutes before sleep and slept around 4 hours per night. Her levels of motivation were constantly fatigued, so she was experiencing low levels. And her stress management, these weeks she was basically just brainstorming what she wanted to do, like different ways, different relievers that were helping her throughout the week. And spirituality, she rarely engaged in improving her spiritual intake and didn't really see any improvement. Weeks 3 to 4, she cut down on screen time an hour before bed, fell asleep around midnight to 1 a.m., and slept 5.5 hours per night. As for her levels of motivation, these were beginning to be more moderate as she was increasing her physical activity. Her stress management, she was taking frequent walks after school or work and reducing stress eating. As for her spirituality, she began to attend a Wednesday night Bible study with her mom at her local church. Now on to weeks 5 to 7, she increased no phone an hour and a half before bed, started to fall asleep around 11:30, and slept 6.5 hours per night. As for her levels of motivation, she maintained frequent physical activity and began to feel moderate to high levels of motivation. As for stress management, she was still walking and reducing stress eating and ended up joining a cycling class. As for her spirituality, she unfortunately stopped attending Wednesday night studies during these weeks due to work commitments. All right, now lastly, week 8, she was able to extend that to no phone an hour before bed. An hour and a half before bed. She fell asleep around 11 p.m. and slept 7 hours per night. Levels of motivation were moderate to high, and she sustained working out constantly and was feeling more energetic. As for her stress management, she made taking walks a new habit. She would consistently ride her bike and still attend her cycling class. As for spirituality, in week 8, she joined a Tuesday night fellowship with her friends, began journaling, and doing at-home studies with her family whenever she was available, in hopes to improve her spirituality outside of this 8-week process. Use of motivational interviewing. So I used empathy in listening to her concerns about her sleep patterns and asked what she feels that she can do to make improvements, rather what I think she needs to do. Using discrepancy, I helped her acknowledge her main goals of better sleep and stress management, and I pointed out how her unhealthy habits are making it hard for her to achieve her goals. And using resistance, I encouraged her to brainstorm new methods when she felt unmotivated or was not seeing progress in her goals, instead of picking a fight and arguing with her about areas that she wasn't seeing improvement in. And I promoted self efficacy and emphasizing the areas that she was seeing vast improvement in, and using that as encouragement for her to work towards bettering the areas with weaknesses. In summary, we saw successes such as the gradual increase in her amount of sleep per night, the reduction of unhealthy sleep stress behaviors, the forming of new healthy habits pertaining to her sleep and stress management, and an increase in her motivation. Some challenges that we faced were her being a little bit unclear about her spiritual goals in the beginning, and regression of her spiritual well being around weeks 5 to 7. What I think I could have done differently in this 8-week process was suggested at home Bible studies a lot earlier than I did, and I also think I should have incorporated journaling in week 1 to track spiritual progress and promote frequent Bible reading and journaling throughout her weeks. What I enjoyed about this coaching practical was the ability to connect with my friends in a different way, conversing about more personal and spiritual goals. I also enjoyed seeing improvement in their overall happiness after combating their lifestyle issues.